No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. I'm in here for part 2 with my boy Mikki. I believe that a lot has changed. Some things remain the same.
Yeah, give and take, give and take.
But we're going to get the state of the nation today. How you living?
I'm living good. I feel really good. I had a solid week and just all around feeling solid, man.
Really?
Yeah.
So, I feel like where we left things last time, the narrative that we were kind of working with was like Mikki had this crazy-ass life, made a lot of money, and then at a certain point, you decide that you kind of want to brand yourself as like a gambling influencer. You start doing all these things, politicking with all these rappers, being seen in a lot of these big games that are live streams, stuff like that. But it also felt like you were kind of trying to figure out what your next vision or your next mission in life was going to be, or how you were going to take this newfound cloud and like do something with it. So I'm kind of interested to hear what the last 10 months have been like.
Yeah, so, when I started social media, I had no plan. I never even thought that I'd get, like, recognition. I just did it purely, like, for fun.
Right.
If I had, like, 200 followers, like, to this day, I'd be posting, like, the same stuff. Like, I was just doing it for fun. Mm-hmm. I guess the content would be different because, like, the rappers wouldn't be around or what have you.
Right,
But,
and when you're making content, it's like a game to build an audience, too. Like, every time I post a TikTok, it's like, yeah, I'm posting the TikTok just because it's, like, fun to post a TikTok. But also it's like, well, if I get a couple 1,000 followers off this and then eventually maybe I'll have 1 million, that'll be cool, right?
yeah, it is cool, man. It's definitely a lot of fun. But, yeah, I had no plan. Like I will say, like, when you just said that I wanted to, like, brand myself as a gambling influencer, that actually wasn't my plan.
Okay.
And it's, like, still not my plan. This, like, happened on its own. I will say that when I came on No Jumper the first time, like, respectfully, I actually didn't even know what No Jumper was. I don't know if you knew that about me.
Destiny thought I was black.
Or I thought nothing. Like, I have no social media hardly. Like, completely absent-minded, right?
You still don't have a Twitter?
I don't have a Twitter. Technically, I have, like, a Twitter, like, username.
I was just thinking about that today because I'm like, the Twitter world or the poker world takes place on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And you get talked about a decent amount on Twitter, but I have never really seen you engage on there.
Nah.
I just want to check.
I had like made a user account once just because like I thought I was supposed to. Mm-hmm. And I was like, honestly, bro, I hardly even know how to use Instagram. I still don't know fully how to use TikTok. I was like, I'm not about to learn another thing. And by the way, I still don't make money off social media. I've never done like a paid post, paid promo, none of that. So I'm like, why am I going to, and it's a full-time job to be like an influencer or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I was like, how am I going to add another platform with no gain? Like it's at that point, I think I'm crossing the line of having fun and like just working.
Yeah, it's fun to like get famous on social media, but if you don't have something that you're ultimately funneling people back towards to like justify you putting that time and effort into it, then what the fuck are you doing?
I have now. I will say this. I do have a couple of things I'm working on now that like, I have this platform. Mm-hmm. And I don't have like the most amount of followers in the world. Like you got more than me. And I'm not exactly sure like who follows you, but I can tell you that like my following is so concentrated of like heavy hitters. I have like 1 billion people follow the people that follow me. The
people who follow me are mostly like Winchell's employees. They're like partway through puberty. They're like listening to My Chemical Romance. No, I have a wide variety.
Some MCR?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, what a throwback.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But okay, you think you've got the Kevin Durant's of the world in there?
I mean, quite literally.
Right.
So I was like, I have this and it's cool and clout's fun and whatever. But I was like, how can I do something positive with this? I said, I'm not that I'm like anti making money on the internet, which I'm not. It just, there's nothing came my way that I like anybody who's offered me money, which is like, it's this endless stream of people offering me like really fat bucks to like promo and this and that. I don't like most of their products. As a matter of fact, I don't like most of the people. So there's like a zero, bro, for you to pay me to post anything on my page that I don't like would cost you so much, it's probably going to bankrupt the company. If I'm not like jiving with the brand on my own, you're not going to get, it's going to be really hard to even pay me to pretend that I like it.
Okay.
So far I just haven't made any money, which I'm like content with, no problem. So I found 2 avenues like on how I can like give back and use this for like the better, right? One of the things I'm doing, I'm very, very premature in the process. This is like a really long play, long term, like lifetime deal. Is I had this idea on my own that all these kids like hit me up like, yo, can I send you a song? Can you play it on your story? Can you do this? Can you do that? I never really realized why until a little more recently, about a year ago, when I started working on it. It's because since all the Kevin Durant's and, you know, the Kevin Durant's of the music world and the athletes and all this, they all follow me. If I play one song one time from some kid from suburban Nebraska, and one dude is like, I like that song, and goes to hit that kid up, it's going to change that kid's life. So I realized the value I have in the people who follow me. So I'm working on now is helping up and coming entertainers, like way before they even like have a shot at being in the scene. If I can get a hold of them and say, hey man, let me give you a little bump here. Let me like maybe throw you some cash or get you some exposure, get you a meeting with the right people. I believe in you. And it's, you know, whether you're an up and coming rapper or athlete or comedian or actor, comedian at all, you know, like I'm not that dude. Like I'm not a rapper. I'm not a comedian. I'm not any of those things, but I know all of those dudes. So if I can take some kid from Nebraska or wherever, New Jersey or Georgia, whatever, and if I really think that his thing is solid and he's got potential, if I can get him that meeting or get him heard by the right people, it could change his life.
So you want to manage artists?
No, I don't want to manage nothing, man. I just want to be a little nudge to help some kids have a shot at making it, you know?
So you just want to give people money?
Well, I'm going to be buying a piece of their career.
Or exposure. Okay,
Yeah,
so you're
exposure.
investing and taking a chunk of... Right.
Yeah, I'm going to get a piece of whatever returns. You know, if they do make it, you know, I'm entitled to a piece of that. You know, I put them in that position.
But then how much do you do for them from there? Because people always forever are like, you should be managing artists, you should be signing artists. For me, it's a lot of work for a very uncertain investment, and I don't really see how much value I'm bringing to it as a person that doesn't necessarily have much to do with the creation of the music or anything like that.
So I think it's a huge gamble, but like obviously my whole life's been gambling, you know? So instead of gambling $250,000 a hand on Bach, I can gamble, you know, like a few dollars here and there on some person, you know, guy or girl that wants to like do whatever.
But to me, there's like two different models where it's like I've seen rappers, like big rappers, like a Gucci Mane or a YG or whoever, where they decide they want to start working with artists, and sometimes an artist will sign 5 people and like do a song with them, maybe take them on tour, like do a little bit for a bunch of people and kind of like see where their career goes. Or sometimes you have a rapper who will sign an artist and it's like, no, boom, you're under my wing, you're with me all the time, I'm introducing you to everybody, you're like I'm doing everything for you. And it's like 2 very different models, because you can't really do that for like 10 people, but you might be able to do that for like 1 artist a year type shit.
So I don't know how much like quantity of entertainers I'm going to be picking up. As of now, I worked with 2 people so far. Just like test the waters, just so I can learn trial by fire, like what am I going to, you know, incur along this journey? Because I don't know, right? So I just put it out as a feeler, and what actually happened was way bigger, more beautiful. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to talk about it, but I'm gonna, because nobody made me sign nothing. I'm not going to say the name of the company, but it's a very, very large public company. Some of the executives actually follow me, right? They're like fans of mine, which is really cool. So I made a video talking about, I have an idea to do this, right? They end up hitting me up off that, and they go, hey, us privately within our corporation, we also have this idea. And so the NBA is supposed to be expanding, right? They're going to be adding a team into the league. Well, this company that reached out to me is the company that's going to own that team as well as the stadium, and it's going to be based in Vegas. So they hit me up and they said, this is who we are, like this is what we got, and we want to do the same thing as you. We have the same plan. But for me, I was like a little bit more speaking to the artist, like the musician or the rapper. They're speaking a little bit more to the athlete, and they have a direct line, obviously, in you know, like the athletic world. So they want to create a new division, have me be CEO of that division. And continue to do like the outreach I'm doing now, like reaching out, getting the exposure, getting contact to potential entertainers. So I have this route, and I'm really friendly with, you know, a lot of executives at, you know, record labels and the big ones and, you know, all that stuff. So I think the potential is there. Now, to answer your question exactly, I don't actually have an answer because I don't know. I think until I get closer to each one of those steps, I'm just going to be figuring it out the hard way.
Because you have a big potential audience, I think, but you haven't really got to the point of like consistently creating content, right? Or like maybe you TikTok and Instagram a decent amount, but you're not making like YouTube content. Like, do you have a plan to be making content long term? I know we've talked about this a little bit.
Yeah, I've on and off entertained YouTube. Like I do have a YouTube channel. There are videos on there. Mostly I make like appearances on other huge channels. You know, I have like well over 100 million views on YouTube, and it's on everybody else's thing.
Which you do have to respect that, because there are a lot of people like a Charleston White or even like an Andrew Tate who like might have a smaller platform, or in the case of Andrew Tate now, like no platform, but it's still a gigantic force and can go on other people's shit and you know.
And that's kind of where I am now. And I think it happened natural because when I started social media, I really didn't care. And not that I don't care now still, but like I care, but it's from like a little bit of a different angle. You know, like a lot of kids, bro, like they're like 20 years old in their parents' basement, whatever. They start like, I don't know, TikTok or Instagram. They start gaining traction and clout, and then they kind of become Instagram famous or internet famous, and then brands hit them up, and that's how they become rich or make their money.
Right.
I came from the total opposite spectrum. I had made the money, then I was like, now what do I do? And I said, this seems fun, started Instagram and whatever, and so I'm like kind of I'm still learning, you know, I'm still new to social media. But yeah, my appearance rate is like astronomical.
Mm-hmm. So that's the main thing that you've been working on in your private life and everything, is that you want to start doing this shit?
It's definitely not my main thing, but it's definitely a really cool leading factor. It's like one of something else that I just started. This one I'm so stoked on. This is actually your fault, by the way. So I have to blame you and credit you.
Okay.
So when we did the first No Jumper, I was like, hey, man, I know that there's a lot of things in my life that are all like noteworthy or interesting or like unbelievable things that have happened or whatever. And I told you specifically in text message, I still got the text. I said, pick one.
Right.
I was like, we're not going to talk more. We're not going to talk less. Like, just pick one topic.
And we didn't do that. We talked about everything.
We talked about everything.
Right.
Almost everything. There's actually even more. Like, and yeah, so I think for me, again, like I didn't really know what No Jumper was because I was like so new to social media, right? And I didn't realize it was going to get the exposure it did. So I felt like I kind of like lost control internally, right? Like I didn't have the wherewithal to tell you, I don't want to talk about that. Let's stick to gambling, which was a topic you chose. We ended up talking about basically everything, right? Which is what I think so much of the shock factor was. Like people were like let's say whatever the first topic was, I don't even remember, like being homeless as a kid or whatever, right? They're like, wow, that's crazy.
Right.
And that by itself was like enough. And then it was like, well, what happened after that? Oh, but then I worked on Wall Street. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah,
right?
it's like upbringing, career, gambling, sex.
Yeah.
Was what I recall. It was like in terms of like the main overarching themes.
Yeah, and each one of those individually was like kind of like a really unbelievable, like a beautiful story or time in my life or whatever, you know what I mean? Path. So I kind of didn't have the wherewithal to tell you like, nah. Let's stick to what we agreed to.
Right.
So one of the things really, really specifically I didn't want to talk about was drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
So I'm sober, right? I'm sober 7 years. And before the 7 years, I had attempted to get sober like numerous times, countless times, over and over and over, since I was young. And when I finally got sober, I knew like one of the spiritual principles is anonymity, right? And for me, my personal life, pre-social media, I was like the most private person you could imagine. There was a 0 chance you're getting my phone number. I used to have 2 houses, one that people and like my girl and all that thought I lived at, and then one where I actually laid my head when I was alone, right? I was really, really keen to privacy. So when it came to getting sober, I was like my anonymity was super strong. I would never share it with anybody unless I thought it was going to help them. But you knew that I was sober, and we ended up talking about it, and it was like, I couldn't believe like I was willing to even say it on the air. But what came from that, despite all of my attempts to ignore it since that interview, was that this unbelievable amount of people have contacted me saying, hey man, you were my inspiration to get sober. Like, look what your life was, look what it is now. And if sobriety was a key factor, I want to try it.
Right.
So now what I did that I'm so stoked on is I started this company. It's called Shaken Hearts, right? And you can get it on Instagram, Shaken Hearts, ShakenHearts. And what I did was I donated money. I did all types of things to be able to gather this huge network across the nation where I'm able to help anybody with gambling addiction, drug addiction, alcoholism, eating disorders, mental health, depression, anxiety, and just about any form of like mental health affliction or addiction. Like, I'm willing to give help, and I'm going to help as many people as I can. All I got to do is like go to the Instagram, send a DM. That's where we're starting, you know. I'm not sure exactly how to handle the amount of traffic that we're anticipating, but I'm really stoked on this one, and I just want to be able to help as many as I can. I have such a big platform now, you know, and the exposure that if I can just like focus on it, I think I can really, really help a lot of people.
But what, so you're just individually responding to DMs on this platform?
I wish that I can say that. It would
Right.
probably drive more traffic and like whatever. But the truth is, there's no way I can do it. So right now I'm getting 2,000 messages per 24 hours. And that's without me even like having that other page. So there are a couple people really close in my life who are sober also. And I've been in business for a long time. They're going to be helping me to navigate the communication.
Because this is something I hear from people so consistently is, you know, you want to start a business, you identify a problem. And so people always are like, people are depressed, people are suicidal, people have, you know, people are not content with their lives, and I want to do something about it. And then the problem just becomes, how the fuck do you do something about that? Or at least, how do you scale helping people? It's kind of like a tricky question. I think when you look at somebody like BetterHelp, where they're like trying to offer like low cost therapy or something, this is not an endorsement or a brand deal, but like that kind of occurs to me as like, okay, maybe that kind of makes sense that they're making it easier for people to get somebody to talk to.
So what I went and did was this is all going to be at no cost to the people looking for help. You know, I have some cash, you know what I'm saying? And I knew that when I was trying to get sober, the only shot I had is people giving me handouts, honestly. I had nothing. I was homeless. You know, like we went over this, you know. If you said to me, oh, I'll give it to you at I'll give you rehab at a discount, I'll be like, that's fine. Is it $0? Because otherwise I don't qualify.
Right.
So everything I'm offering is at no cost to the person looking for help. No matter what city you're in, what state you're in, what part of the country you're in, what your issue is, I'm like 99% sure I'm willing to help you at no cost to you. And I already put together a team of employees that are sitting in an office with phones and computers to help field some of the inbound traffic. So they are already in connection. They're already they're on the line with everywhere around the nation I partnered with that are willing to help me out in this cause.
What's going to make this different than like the suicide hotline?
Well, I think the suicide hotline is mostly just a discussion. It's mostly like, hey, you shouldn't, commit suicide. This is everything you have to live for, etc. And if you need help, go to your local ER. Like, we are really, really working specifically on each person looking for help, whatever's catered special to them. And also, like, I really lived it, bro. Like, I really did. This is like, I really want to do this.
So you're thinking like, let's just help people and then we'll figure out a business model afterwards, or
Yeah,
like, let's never figure out a business model. Let's just help people.
As of now, it's like, we'll figure it out later, right? I know, first of all, in business, right, if there's a problem and you have the solution, there's money involved.
Right.
I know that. But this isn't really, really about the money, at least not yet. Right now, I just want it to work, and I just want people to get help. And the rest will work itself out moving forward. What I think maybe is, as a non-for-profit, we'll probably get donations and run charity events and things like that, and I could maybe pay myself out of there, like T99 it or however it may be. But as of now, like, we're just going to do it. We're just doing it right now.
Nice. One of the biggest things that I got asked when I was at the main event, you didn't play the main event, right?
I played the main, yeah.
You did?
No, I busted 45 minutes left on the day.
On day one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I played 1D.
Okay. That was the crazy one. That's the last one. I did 1A. So it was only like 500 people or some shit.
I should have done A. Originally I was going to do
D
A.
is the soft one. D is when there's all the bad players, apparently. That's what I learned from talking to people there.
So that's what I heard too, because all the businessmen, they want to imagine they like keep going.
Exactly.
They need to shorten their trips. So they come on the last day.
If you want to make it as quick a trip as possible, doing day 1D makes sense, but it's insane. It's 10-handed for a lot of it. It's like the craziest fucking zoo on earth. Whereas on day one for me, I mean, it was a little crazy. It's like, 500 people playing poker, but it's not like the bathroom breaks were pretty chill all in all and everything. So I actually don't know if I would do day 1D next time.
I'm going to try 1A next year, I think. 1D, so I had, because everyone knows that's in the culture or whatever.
Right.
All the super pros also played D with that same concept. Like every super pro busted out day 1D.
A large percentage, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a weird feeling because I'm like playing, I got to day 3 and played maybe halfway through day 3. I think I busted maybe like 600 people away from the money. And yeah. Definitely a ton of the best players I know were just busting out on day 1, and I was just like, "Oh fuck! Like, am I not doing enough that these guys are getting knocked out on day 1?" But okay, one of the biggest things that people were saying to me when I was at the main event was, "What the fuck is up with that Mikki guy?" Like everybody just kind of asking me, "What's up with Mikki?" And some of the main things I heard were, people saying like, "That guy's full of shit." Or people being like, do you think that guy's full of shit? Or people being like, what's going on with him right now? I had a few people be like, I heard he's broke. I heard, I don't know. I'm just like hearing a lot of theories. Like there's so much uncertainty about Mikki. And I don't really know what to tell anybody. They're like, do you believe that he's actually beating Baccarat? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I mean, my instinct is like that seems impossible, but I'm not really out here acting like I know the answer for sure. So the people want to know what is Mikki up to as a gambler? Like I feel like you, and this is the longest question ever, but I feel like you got banned from the casinos like right around the time that we did that first interview, right?
Yeah, they were right around that time. It started a little earlier, and I had a few that I still weren't banned from. Kept playing, getting banned. I got banned from another one last week in Arizona.
So this is just all separate casinos that you had this experience at?
Yeah, all over the country, yeah.
Okay. But Vegas is like a wash for you at this point? You basically can't go to any of them?
I got 2 casinos left in Vegas. To be honest, I'm burnt out. And also, like, you have to lose sometime, right? Like, there has to be sometimes that you have a losing session.
Right.
And if I'm playing as massive as I do, those losing sessions are going to cost me many millions. So basically, I kind of just locked up the dub. I'm just kind of chilling. I don't really play that much. I play, like, private games. I play some poker now. That's really it. Well, by the way, about you hearing all these theories,
Yeah.
I bet you I hear more theories about me than you hear.
Probably.
Every time I go on the internet, it's like I learn something new about myself that I didn't know. It's like every time that somebody has an option to like voice their opinion,
Right.
good or bad, it's like they build this whole like narrative, this whole storyline about me, and I'm like, that's interesting. I didn't know that, you know, when I was 15 this happened. Well, I wonder where they learned that, you know. But what I'm saying is it's not true. You know, people just say things.
Right.
Bro, I went on the Full Send pod, Money Buys Happiness, like 3 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah. And what we did was they asked me about Spencer, right? Spencer, who was
We should probably talk about that.
Yeah, so Spencer's the online investigator or whatever, who exposes all the frauds on the internet.
Who's been on my podcast, and soon after, he did a video about you, right?
Yeah.
And then you met up with him, like a couple days later?
The very next day.
And his video, how would you summarize what his video said about you?
That when we ended up doing 3 videos, by the way.
Right.
The first video, I thought he did an excellent job articulating his opinion and perspective based on the information he had, but his information was limited. So I got in contact with him, and the very next day he pulled up on me. And I said, hey, bro, it's like no hostility, no nothing. I thought you did a great job, but you're missing information. I would like to give you all of the information, you know, full disclosure, like anything you want. I'm going to unlock my phone, and you're welcome to look at every single thing you would like. And this way, at the end of this video, you can either say, you know, with conviction that I am a fraud, or if you find out otherwise, I'd just like you to say, I made a mistake. He looked at everything. We spent 8 hours together that day.
Right.
He looked at everything, condensed into 20-minute video. So, like, if you're watching the video, there people were saying, like, oh, he only looked at one casino. He only this. It's not true. But it's just what he put into the video. He was like, he's such a believer. He saw the evidence, right? That he's like, I don't even need to overwhelm the evidence. It's legit.
Right.
So he stamped his approval, and he apologized publicly, and he goes, it's legit.
Right. But what's legit? That you are banned from the casinos?
That I'm banned, that I'm a massive net profit Baccarat player, that I'm winning in every casino, the celebrities, like whatever doubts he had about any claims I made, he looked into every piece of it.
Right. And so, yeah, what was that experience like? Like handing over the keys to him, and
I was so stoked to do it, man.
Really?
Yeah, because again, I'm still new to social media even to this day. So like it blew up so fast, and then he put on this like hit piece, and I was like, oh well, here's my chance to like prove, you know, these claims. I don't like being called a liar, and you know, it kind of hurts my feelings.
You didn't think about beating him up when he came through?
Nah.
That was never part of the plan?
Nah. He's like kind of like a nerdy little kid, you know, like kind of, you know.
And you got to give it to him that a lot of these YouTubers just stay on YouTube and they never interact with anybody. But he did that shit with you, and I also seen him pull up on Mr. Organic and basically like confront Mr. Organic face to face, which is kind of crazy because Mr. Organic is like a, I don't know, 6'7", like maybe I'm lying, but he's like a very big, strong dude who could absolutely whip Spencer's ass if he wanted to, and Spencer didn't give a fuck. He pulled up right on him.
Yeah, I think that the way that I communicated with Spencer, he felt no threat. And the truth was I had no threat. There's not a threatening bone in my body in regards to like meeting Spencer, right? And so he felt comfortable to come over, and he came over. And you know what's crazy? Me and my buddies talked about it. He could have easily been walking into a trap.
Right.
Like my homies were in there. You know, like anything could have happened, you know? But that wasn't my intent, and obviously it's not what I did. And I think that like succeeding that interview for him he like got this new like gust of confidence, you know, like he started branching out, you know. He confronted Mr. Organic and some other people, and he's like engaging more. And I think he's like also building himself as like a human being outside of YouTube. I think he's like building his own personal character.
Right.
And I think it's cool to watch.
Because as YouTubers, you go through these phases in your life, like, or I noticed this at least, where during that part where you're really growing on your channel, it's very easy for you to kind of be like, all right, fuck real life. I am just going to grind out this content and base my entire life around putting out as much content as possible. And then at some point, as you discover success, you start to feel like, okay, well, maybe I need to also balance having a real life and taking advantage of all these opportunities that I now have as a result of my success, etc. And yeah, Spencer for sure, at a certain point at least, like he was pretty honest about this, is that he was just grinding out those fucking videos nonstop, making scripts every second of the fucking day. And yeah, you might have helped them get more into the idea of like, oh, I can leave the house. I can make content outside the house.
I do think I may have, and I'm really, really stoked. Whether it was me or not, I'm just stoked to see him do it. You know, that second video was really cool for me. It was fun. It was also good for like the brand, you know? And he and I formed a friendship. He actually staked me into the mini main last year.
Oh, yeah.
At the World Series, yeah.
How was that?
It was cool, man. It was a cool experience. For me, it was like way less the poker.
Right.
And like more like just another opportunity to like kind of hang out and share more of my story.
Because he doesn't play poker, right?
Nah, he doesn't know anything.
Because I went on Graham Stephan's podcast in Vegas, who's like a big financial business podcaster or whatever. He's kind of similar to Spencer, I guess, in a way. And I was like trying to press him, like, you got to get into poker. You got to do this. And he fully fucking is just like, he has like many misconceptions about it. It's like, I'm not into uncertainty. I don't like things that I can't control. I don't want to lose money, yada, yada, you know? And it's like, you got to like break him out of that shell. So what I was trying to do, and maybe I'm going to mention it here so it'll actually happen, is I was trying to get Jason Kuhn to go on his podcast, because I feel like Jason is kind of like a consummate modern day pro who can sit there and explain the poker pro lifestyle and what it is to be truly deep into the solver and what it is to play these long fucking live tournaments for 10 hours and then also, you know, kill it on GG and whatever else, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to make that happen at some point.
Hope it happens. Good luck with that. But so the reason I brought up Spencer though is I went on the Full Send podcast like 3 weeks ago, right? It's the Money Buys Happiness channel.
Right. So they made another podcast?
Me?
No, Nelk Boys.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. They have another podcast called Money Buys Happiness.
The Nelk Boys.
That's more financial?
Full Send. No. It's just like another.
Okay. Just to make more content.
Yeah. Just like another. Like you guys have like Sharp Tank and like whatever.
Okay.
I think they added one called Money Buys Happiness.
That's a cool idea. Okay.
Yeah. So I went on it about 3 weeks ago and they brought up Spencer and I said, yeah, like, you know, whatever. And they go, can we get the Spencer treatment? I'm like, what do you want? They're like, we want to see everything live. Like right now, no cuts. We want you to open your phone. I said, say less. So they put a camera, bro, no cap. Like you could see there's another camera in the back watching this guy put a camera on my shoulder, right? And they're like, we want you to log in every casino app right now with the camera on your shoulder. I said, fine. And I logged into every single casino app. I showed every email, text messages with executives, and we live on air showed every single one of my casino win-loss statements. So, I mean, there's no more questions now. Like, bro, we showed everything. It has, between TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, over 20 million views. It's been up for 3 weeks or so.
How the hell did I not see this?
I don't know, you didn't see it, but if you want, I mean, like, I got it in my phone. Just pull it up on your own time. You know, like, yeah, for sure. So the guy puts a camera on my phone. I don't know the kid's name, whatever. And the guys are asking, they're like interviewing me. They're asking me questions. They're like, we want you to open whatever casino. They're like, we want you to open MGM, all MGM properties. I said, say less. I logged in, facial recognition for the username, all that. It shows my full name, my address, everything. Boom, tax statements. They look. And we looked at every single year, starting with the first year, like the last year I didn't play, to the last year where it shows like, oh, I'm banned, like I can't come. I have executives talking about me being banned, like I have their full name, like text message, everything.
Right.
So there's like no more questions.
So how do you respond to somebody or like the chorus of people who still just can't get past the fact that Baccarat does not appear to be a game that somebody can beat consistently long term? How would you respond to that? Especially because there's not that much of a win, right? In you continuing to hold on to your secrets, since you're not really able to utilize these secrets in the same way, right? Or are you holding out because you don't want to snitch on the dudes who are maybe still able to pull something off?
I don't even want to get into that so much. For sure, one thing is, though, all these like plain Janes and John Does that hit me up like, give me your sauce, bruh. Why do they think they're entitled to that? On what planet? On what planet should they get that?
Right.
And if they do get it, why would it be for free? Like, I got to be a little realistic here. All these dudes that hit me up, what's the secret? What's the secret? What are you talking about?
If I were you and I had some kind of knowledge that allowed me to consistently beat some percentage of casino games, would I tell random people who DM me? No.
Zero chance.
But would I go on a podcast and even acknowledge that this was a thing in the first place? I don't know. Probably not, because it's like, if it's still something you could do, you would probably want to hold on to it, right?
I had been mostly already banned before our first interview, so it really wasn't relevant. Now, I remind you, the 2 casinos that I have left, they kind of let me rock, right? I don't play so huge anymore. Like, I'm really just chilling. Like I said, I kind of locked it up. I'm just kind of coasting, like chilling, right? I'm getting back into business.
Right.
So they kind of let me do my thing. We don't do enough to like damage each other. I think they see like a lot of the like people that are with me on either of the 2 properties. I believe, this is not like a fact, but I believe that they're thinking like they're not playing big enough to do any damage, plus the benefit we gain from the marketing of just these people posting the fact that they're with Mikki in our location. They probably, whatever we win, probably maybe other people come and lose. Again, it's not a fact, but like, it seems realistic.
So when you were doing the thing where you're like, hey, give me some money and I'll gamble on your behalf, that was like a short-lived business model, or what?
It was like 1 week. First of all, I was overwhelmed with like inquiries, but besides that, I didn't and don't need anybody's money, and the stress is not worth it, honestly, bro. What happened was, it first started coming out, you know, like if I would, like if I have a friend who has like a huge following or they're famous or whatever, we gamble, they want to post about it. In the beginning, I had like 10K followers. I'm like, I don't care, bro. Post.
The clips of you gambling with Lil Baby, or like the YouTube clip of us talking about you gambling with Lil Baby, were fucking huge.
Yeah.
People are really fascinated by the idea of a rapper gambling.
Yeah. Honestly, bro, I've gambled with almost every single rapper, honestly.
And they're just down.
Yeah, I mean, so...
And none of them will play poker.
Yeah, well, poker is like a challenging game to learn.
And it takes a long time.
Yeah, it's like a full-time job.
It's not sexy.
Yeah, it's not sexy.
Like the way that just putting 50 grand on black is.
Yeah, it's also not that fun.
Yeah, right. It's just literally like, yeah. When I like think about introducing rappers to poker, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I got ace 3 off, and I'm under the gun. I'm gonna open," and I'm like, "No, you can't."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, fuck you. Like I'm gambling.
Yeah.
I want to open." And I'm like, "No, like that's not how it works. You like there's right and wrong."
Yeah.
And in that is true in all table games, I guess, all pit games. But at the same time, it's you know, it doesn't feel that way.
Bro, blackjack is the simplest game to understand. You know, like if they have an ace and a jack, like blackjack.
Right.
If they got, you know, a 5 and a 3 and the dealer's a 10, they're like, oh, I have 7, I got a hit. Like it's easier to understand, and they already have a full-time job making more than they'll ever make gambling.
Well, but the thing about blackjack is, if you're playing blackjack, you've already accepted that this is a game in which you will lose in the long term. But with poker, you know that there is at least the possibility of you being a profitable player. So it's like like somebody like me, when I teach somebody about poker, I'm trying to guide them to being a profitable player, because the reality is, if you play really bad, you're just going to be hemorrhaging money from the moment you start playing.
I think a lot of them, bro, are like, we know that we're going to lose more than we're win, but with those few times that we win, it's going to be lit, and we're just going to turn up. You know, like the losses they take are not really affecting their bottom line. The dudes they're raking it in off their music and whatever. If I'm with an actor, then they're athletes, you know, whatever. So they're like, we don't really care about losing, but the feeling of the few times that we win is worth it, because our financial abilities are not being affected anyway.
Yeah, but my problem too is, like, if I want to introduce somebody to poker, I probably shouldn't be focusing on telling them how to play the correct strategy, you know, because that's just not going to make it seem fun to them, and that's not going to get them into it. If they start playing and they lose money, and then they start to realize, like, oh, I did something dumb and that's why I lost money, maybe that's going to be the thing that keeps them going. Because, like, I just have an impossible time explaining poker to people who don't play.
Sure.
Because, like, you start to, like, explain the hand values and stuff, and then they're watching you and they're like, why did you just go all in 3 streets with pocket 3s on an ace high board? And I'm like, oh, I'm bluffing. And they're like, but you just told me what hands are good and what hands aren't and how they relate to the board. And it's like, fuck, like, there's so many layers to this that I don't really know how to even begin explaining this shit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But about the Lil Baby thing, it popped off. So, like, for example, right? Like, me and Lil Baby played. we played a bunch, right? But that one particular time is when he took the videos and he posted it himself, right?
Right.
And when that happened, it obviously drove like a ton of attention and traffic to me. So I get all of these like plain Janes and John Does like harassing me, death threats, all this. They're like, you only do it for the rappers, you only do it for the celebrities and the actors and the athletes. Like, what about us? Like, I thought you're for the people. And the truth is, I really want to be for the people, and I am to my best ability, right? So I said, okay, I'm getting like this overwhelming amount of feedback, like in my DMs, like in person. If someone sees me, whatever, they're like, yo, can you help me? I'm not famous. I'm not mega rich, but can you help me? I need help. I need help more than them, right?
I need help gambling.
Yeah, help
If
gambling.
you need help financially, you just need to not gamble.
That's my always advice, bro. I tell bro, I'm so heavy in my comments, bro. And when I did Spencer's third video, my main thing is I said, hey, bro, I need couch time. I just want to talk about all the bad stuff of gambling.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, fine. Can we do it based around the fact that I'll give you $1,000 to go play the mini main? I'm like, I literally don't care. I was like, I'll go waste a day of poker, like whatever. I just want to talk about this, you know? So anyway, so like, for example, him and others posted, like it started with a bunch of athletes actually, even before Baby. And so they start posting me. I get all this harassment and death threats and like da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, this is crazy. I said, I wonder if there's a way for me to help all of them that want to gamble, right? So I was like, let me do this thing. So I did a jot form, and I gave an opportunity for strangers to like invest money or whatever in gambling, even though I was like super clear, like I don't support it. I don't think you should do it. And if you're risking your rent money, for sure, if I know, the answer is no, right? And they all started, and it was like this, like, I was like bombarded with like inquiries and people trying to send money and all this. I said, you know what? I said, there's no way for me to like police it. There's no way for me to track it. Like, not track the dollars, but like track who, like what's happening. Like, are people funneling drug money? Are people are people robbing their grandmother of the grandmother's last $500 to send to me? I was like, I don't think that this is like,
Yeah.
I don't think this is good.
And where's the accountability? Because if somebody gives you $50K and says, hey, go gamble this, I mean, what's to stop you from saying, hey, I lost it, versus saying, hey, I won? Like,
well, I do have like all my days play. So like so the few times that I've like, let's say like been staked by somebody, if they're not with me, at the end of it, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go to the host office right now. They're going to give us a full breakdown. What time I sat down, what time I bought in, my average bet, my length of play, and my overall win-loss at whatever time that is.
Right.
So there is like accountability on my end. And that's not really what I was concerned about. I was more concerned about like, I don't want to feel sad
right.
if I do lose for somebody, and I don't want to feel responsible for them making terrible financial decisions. You know, even if we win, the point was like they were like now encouraged to go rob their grandma the last $500 because they thought it was gonna be the jackpot. Replace the 500, grandma don't know, and now they're walking around with another 2,500 in their pocket or whatever.
Right.
You know, and I was like, this just seems bad. So I ran it for like 1 week. I put some Instagram stories. Also back then, I didn't have like that many followers, so I didn't think it was gonna be so impactful. And I said, this is not straight. Like, I'm not. It doesn't feel good to me, and I just cut it off like just like this.
All right, I have a question. How do you feel about Twitch banning certain forms of gambling, the stake.coms and all these sort of offshore unlicensed sites? Poker seems like it's still in the clear, but they are basically taking aim at a lot of the big streaming deals. You probably got offered some of that shit at a certain point, right?
Yeah, so I was in I speak to the owner of I've spoken to the owner of every single online casino in existence directly, like they text me like on the daily, like what's up. I've been offered $4 million a month, everywhere from $1 million to $4 million a month.
Wow.
And I tell all of them the same thing. I says, look, if I accept your offer, I'm gonna make it public. I'm gonna post the contract. It's not a secret. I want everyone to know what you're paying me, how much you're paying me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to live stream as our contract says. I'm going to put the hours in you want me to put, all this. I don't think you're legit. I'm going to spend every single minute of every hour that you're paying me whatever amount to stream on a mission to expose you for cheating. And so whoever is viewing me is going to see this. Whoever gets reposted gets reposted.
Do you think they're cheating how?
Real life casinos cheat on American soil that you can walk in and touch. Now, to talk about a casino on a certain island that are being white labeled and they're all ran from the same house and they're all the same company. When I say house, I mean company, right? It's one company. There's a couple, but basically one, and they all just white label it, and one will put whatever name on it, and then whatever. Right. It all comes down to the marketing.
Steak, roulette, all this is kind of.
I'm not dropping a name, but
okay.
What it may be, right? And there's no say in what's happening on that island within that office space, right? I've watched so many things that are mathematical like improbabilities, they're anomalies, right? Coming from these online casinos. And I said, I don't know, man. I said, I said, I've seen this in real life, and I've confirmed what it was in real life. You're talking about a place on an island that you're not even going to allow me to go, and all of this, and I'm just supposed to believe you. All right, we're talking about cryptocurrency and anonymous wallets and anonymous people using VPNs all over the world, coming from an island I'm not allowed at. That's a hard sell.
But see, I wonder, because people always try to make that argument about online poker as well. And the thing that
I'm a supporter of that theory for online poker, for the record.
But this is the thing, is that if I were to, or not me, but like if some pro had, 500,000 hands of them playing online poker, and they were able to say, oh, look, I get dealt aces more than I'm supposed to, or look at this statistical anomaly in terms of me getting quads versus somebody getting a straight flush, or whatever the fuck it is that seems like it's improbable. I mean,
it happens all the time.
But is it documented with online poker? Because I would assume that there would be so much to be gained by any player who could demonstrate this. Like, people are able to demonstrate that certain people are using RTA and playing perfectly. People are able to demonstrate that, like, oh, look at this person is playing, like, they're being ghosted at a final table because they're playing way better at this final table than they were for the rest of the day. I mean, a lot of this information's out there, so it feels like if there was any like large level of cheating going on one of these sites, that it would be pretty easy to document it, right?
So the first thing is, I'm sort of the first of my kind to have like this kind of exposure coming from the gambling world. Most pro poker players, like all my buddies that won World Series bracelets, they'd be lucky if they have 1,000 followers. Like most of them don't even have a profile photo, right? They're like, what do I care? It's better for me to be anonymous. Most of them playing private games for the bulk of their money, right?
Right.
And it's better for them to be anonymous, right? So most poker players don't even have the place to say that. Now there's like Negreanu, who like he's like now a YouTuber and an online player. There's like Doug Polk, who like the same YouTuber or whatever, right? Theoretically, they can go on and say that. I'm gonna make this part up. I'm totally gonna lie to you right now and make this up, but I believe it's probably a truth. I believe the way a lot of the online poker is being cheated is there's hot seats, and the hot seats I think rotate and move depending on who's playing in the game. So I think if you have a Negreanu and Poke and whoever else playing on a table, I think there's going to be no hot seat. I think it's going to legitimately run like based on the standard algorithm of probability of poker hands. But I think there's a lot of other games that are being controlled by someone behind the scenes that are picking like, I'm going to let this player win. And most of them know who's who. But by the way, I have like tons of World Series of Poker bracelet players that are like my best friends that have sat with me when I've played online. Like we've all done this like together, like in a room. There'll be like, 10 of us. And we all like create new usernames, no connection to who we really are, and start playing. And we've screen recorded, and 10 out of 10 are like, this is not probable. 10 out of 10. This app, not correct. This game doesn't play correctly. We're out. So I've never exposed it. I'm not like, I don't have like real benefit to expose it. And I'm not like where I come from in the pit games versus where I come from in poker. I'm like a different figure, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I've never really done much with like my screen recordings and screenshots of the poker stuff.
Right. I mean, honestly though, I've heard this theory about so many different games. Like literally yesterday, I was watching a video that my friend Mystic7 did about Pokemon Go, where he did like a comparison side by side, because they always say that you're more likely to get shinies in Pokemon Go if you make a new account. And he did a video where he did a test. He caught 500 Pokemon on a new account versus a 500 on his main account, and it was like the same distribution roughly of shinies, which is like, I feel like there's just like I don't know, people love this idea that new accounts are treated differently by the algorithm, and I feel like, or by the RNG or whatever, and it's just, I feel like it's kind of like a senseless accusation to put out there unless you can kind of document it statistically, and I feel like you could by making new accounts on ACR. You could just kind of figure out if the new accounts get treated differently. Seems unlikely to me. I
think sure it could be unlikely, but I don't know, man. And maybe let's say, for example, the time that the 10 of us sat there, right? And like half of us, not me, but half of us hold a bracelet, and all 10 of us are like, this is not correct, right?
Right.
It could have just been coincidence. Like literally, the 10 of us could have just literally ran bad and had bad beats for that hour long.
I play Blitz 60NL, the six-handed fast play thing on ACR. And like on an average night, I'll sit down, watch like a podcast or two, and I'll play maybe like 500 to 1,000 hands of that. And I feel like almost every night something happens in the game that to me stands out as like, if I wasn't already under the assumption that everything's on the up and up, this would look to me like it was bullshit. Like the other day, I have pocket deuces in the big blind. The flop comes jack, jack, deuce. He's got jacks. He has four jacks. I have, full house. And, he could have had aces. He could have had ace jack. He could have king jack. And I lose my whole stack to him. I'm already on the assumption that these things are just going to happen sometimes. So, like, I don't know.
You play a lot of live poker, too. I mean.
Not a lot. Those are my first tournaments my first live tournaments at the main event.
You play cash games, though. What do you mean? I played with you once.
We played on Hustler.
Yeah.
Only on Hustler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. When you play live games, bro, I'll tell you what. Those hands don't happen.
Right.
I don't know.
Sometimes they do.
Nah.
Look at fucking Daniel Negreanu the other day, and he gets the running threes. Bryn Kenny has aces. Flop comes ace deuce 5, and Daniel defends with his threes because he has a gut shot, and then it's 3 on the turn, 3 on the river. And this is like huge players at a final table.
It definitely happens. It does, but not like it does online. But anyway, I don't play enough poker to like really have a stance compared to how I play in pit games.
Right. So, okay, but just to finish on the Twitch thing, do you think that this is a good state of affairs where you have somebody like Trainwrecks TV who's like made this huge platform for himself from playing slots and everything's basically out of a job, from what I understand?
I think I don't think I know with some pretty solid certainty what's actually happening, and I think what's actually happening is a picture bigger than what's being put in the media, and I don't think it was done to harm gambling. I think it was done to benefit specific gambling.
That does make sense, yeah, because they still left the door open for legit gambling to take place on these sites, licensed gambling.
I think there's a lot of loopholes written in the language that allow for, again, very specific situations.
Well, that's what's interesting about ACR too, is that ACR is offshore, unregulated, technically, right? The poker is still allowed on there, even if it's offshore and unregulated, Mm-hmm. But hey, I would be heartbroken if they took ACR away from us. So.
By the way, I do want to reiterate one more time. All of my casino records, the good, the bad, the ugly, are public. Everyone can go look at them. As a matter of fact, if you want it, I was going to offer this to you. We can open it again right now, and I can show you everything.
Yeah, I'll check out that full send episode so I can see the doubling down on it for sure. This reminds me, though, of sitting here a couple days ago with Liver King and having him tell me he wasn't on steroids.
I don't hit the gym. I don't have a place to say anything. I have no leg to stand on.
Right. You should teach the Liver King to gamble. We'll probably make him put a shirt on to go into the casino, though. All right, so the biggest topic of the day, the hand, the Jack 4 off hand with Garrett at the Hustler Casino. I'm not going to explain the entire thing. If you want to look it up, I mean, I guess you could probably search Garrett Hustler, the hand, I believe it was billed as.
Anything, bro. Just put the word poker in. I'm sure it'll come up.
You could scroll down my Twitter for like 5 seconds and you're going to see a whole big long thread that I've been posting of like updates on this alleged cheating that may have taken place at the Hustler Casino. Well, now it's confirmed that there was cheating by one of the staff members who stole $15,000 out of her stack during the saga.
Well, not confirmed cheating. Confirmed that he stole $15K.
He stole. And this dude, Brian or whatever, I mean, I've met that dude 10 times. Before he deleted his Instagram, his fucking pinned post on his Instagram, the third pinned post was a selfie he took with me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And then to find out this dude's a crook. Who knows how many fucking times he did this?
I think maybe you were in on it.
I mean, now I'm starting to think maybe, yeah.
I'm going to go on Reddit and post that.
I wonder if this dude ever handled my chips or why he was handling her chips at any point during this.
You know what's crazy? I know like a lot of like seasoned players, when they're done playing, without doing a chip count, just get up and leave. Like not even a goodbye. They just leave, and all of a sudden there's a pile of chips there. Like JRB did. He had over $1 million. He just got up and left, with over $1 million sitting there. And he got on a plane and went back to Vegas. I've seen this happen all the time.
And he just assumes that that the casino's going to collect his chips and cash it out and put it in his box?
Yeah, put it in his box, yeah.
I mean, I'm not doing that.
I
definitely want to. I want to cash out, or not cash out, but I want to finalize this session, right?
Yeah, I also want to know, like, what's my number? I want to know,
because that is one of the craziest things when you really think about poker is how often people are just leaving gigantic quantities of money sitting there on the table, and they walk away, they go to the bathroom, they eat a meal, they go outside for an hour, they do anything in situations where people could just snatch it, and we all just give it the benefit of the doubt that this place is covered in cameras, and I have an approximate idea how much money I should have here, but I mean, anything could fucking happen.
You know what's even more interesting about JRB's specific one, which I've seen also happens mostly in private games. So we had like all tapped out on our binds, like all of us, right? But we're all friends. We all have like transactions happening outside Hustler, right?
Right.
So he left. He had like, I don't know, 1.1 million or something. He got up and just left. Whatever, chips were there. But he gave us all permission. He goes, "Hey, if you guys need more chips to keep playing, just take it off my stack and text me how much you took." You know.
Wow.
So everyone's entitled to take like 200 grand off a stack.
For a lot of people that are listening to this, they're like, "How the fuck could this possibly be a real thing?" But yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, well, we handle very large figures outside of that show.
Right.
You know, so to have the 1.1 there and tell everyone, hey, if you want chop up, everyone could take 200 until there's nothing left, like whatever, just tell me who took how much, no big deal. You know, it's not uncommon or whatever, but you know, the way he did it, you can watch it and say to yourself, like, how can you possibly keep track of that? Like, aren't you nervous that like someone might accidentally take an extra chip or something like this?
Right.
But they actually Hustler came like, I don't think anyone touched the chips because I think everybody was like kind of still even at this time. But they came and they said, "Hey, we're just gonna lock these chips up." So then the staff took it and they took it off camera, where none of us, like who his homies are, like none of us could watch it.
Right.
I'm not saying anything happened. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But theoretically, like that kid or whoever he is, Brian, whatever, stole 15K from Robbie.
And we all just assume that in some way the casino will make it cumbersome or difficult for the employees to steal from us, right? Like we all just assume, because 15 grand might be the end of this dude's life, like the biggest thing that's ever happened to this kid. But then with JRB, for that to show up missing from his stack, he's not gonna fucking notice.
He would never know.
No.
Yeah, he would never know.
Right.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we thinking by giving this much trust to the casino? It seems
I don't.
insane.
Hold on.
Right?
I don't.
I don't either, really. Yeah, I don't.
Hold on.
I mean, I go outside. I fucking have a meal away from my chips.
I will do that as long as there's still players at the table. If
Right.
there's, because you know, I know most of the players outside the table. You know, so for the most part, I'll know like what's good. You know, like if a homie's sitting at the table, he's gonna be watching. Ain't no one's gonna come over and take my chips, and he's not gonna notice.
Right.
But bro, if it's not like that, you have a 0% chance of me just leaving money out.
Right.
I do not trust the casinos.
So do you think that this girl cheated? Robbie.
I'm not gonna make my public opinion.
Right.
I will say this: me and a few of the players, you know, the big players that are on the show, whatever, we were on the phone nonstop for like 3 days, just trying to go over and break it down. The main question we had is not like, are we being nosy and is this entertainment, but were we susceptible to cheating ourselves? Like, did we get cheated? And it seems unlikely for the games that I played in. Most of the players, again, like people I know, and also like we're just tossing money. We play unorthodox. You know, you got Alan Keating in there who will put $1 million in the pot with, you know, with Jack 4 off, like.
I am 100% sure that Alan Keating is not cheating.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Not only because his last name rhymes with cheating, but also just because I don't think who is helping him make these plays. Yeah, I don't see it.
For him to go with Jack 4 off is like, we wouldn't pre-flop for $1 million. We wouldn't even bat an eye, you know?
Right.
And but like we broke it down. So the main thing we're looking at is, could we have possibly been cheated at a game? So we're curious, like, okay, let's say the players aren't going to cheat us. Could somebody on the inside cheat us? So that's what we were looking at. And so I spent a decent amount of time, like 72 like straight hours with all these guys, like trying to break it down. My first thought, not cheating. Then I hear like more information. Then I'm like, the only answer could be cheating. Then I take a step back and I look at that information from the other perspective, right? Devil's advocate. And I said, if I was in her position and I made A, B, and C mistake, I would probably attempt to resolve it by doing action D, which is what she did. So I said, that doesn't seem like cheating. I would have done the same. If I wouldn't have gotten that far, I don't think. But if I did, I would have had no choice but to do the same action she did. Right. And then I get more, so not cheating. Then I'm like, cheating, not cheating. And at the end of it, I'm not going to make an opinion because there will be a factual answer. There is going to be a verified response.
Right. Because this is what's been so interesting about it, is that everybody kind of has like a ratio going, like from the beginning, which is maybe like a poker thing, that everybody understands that there's probabilities to everything, and that to say that it's 100% cheating or not cheating would be kind of unwise. So maybe it's just the poker community. But seeing so many people be like, I'm 85-15.
Yeah, everybody says that. Yeah.
And then yesterday, you saw a ton of the big people who've been commentating on this, whether it was like a Johnny Vibes seemed to have gone through this sort of like moment of transformation, or even Landon Tice, who I'm pretty close with. He was like 80-20 thinking that she wasn't cheating. And then yesterday the news comes out about this guy stealing the $15K, and all of a sudden he swings completely to the other side where he's saying that he thinks it's a pretty likely scenario. So to see that unfold, but it is strange to me because it's not totally clear to me how this guy stealing $15K makes it that much more likely that he was somehow transmitting signals to her, especially because
I'll give you the two. I'll give you like
leading theories.
I'll give you the two. I don't know if they're leading theories, but I'll give you the two like probable theories on why somebody could draw that connection. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's factual.
Right.
But the first thing is she's gonna take a loss. She's gonna get a beat, right?
Right.
Get what you can. Hopefully they picked a sweet number that is enough where it's worth it, not enough where it'd be noticeable. Let's take what we can and get out of here.
Right.
And the second thing is, if somebody on the inside has now been confirmed to break the law, be willing to go to prison, you can get prison for up to 5 years for your first offense, right? And he's willing to take all these risks, and he's a man on the inside, then he's also willing to take risks with enormous upside where he can easily downplay the downside.
Right. But I'm trying to picture him backstage somehow transmitting the percentages of if she has the best hand or not to her in real time. Like, is he really sitting back there with a phone, sort of hammering away, texting this device?
I don't think that's it. Theoretically, if she was cheating via vibrating device,
right, like
the chess player with the anal beads, his name Hans,
right,
whatever his name is, right? If she, whatever it was, whether it be her ring, her water bottle, her chair, or a butt plug or whatever, I think hypothetically, if that was it, what he was doing was hitting one button in an app that said either vibrate or don't vibrate. And it was all signaled by the way she's going to put her time chip in.
Right.
There's multiple occasions that's happening, and she does it in such dramatic fashion. And then if you count the time, it's a very similar time post her this dramatic time chip that all of a sudden she makes her decision fold, don't fold. So I think it's a vibrate, don't vibrate. One button, click, that says you right now have a better hand.
The time chips to me were very, very sus because she's using the time chips in situations where it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. And that's one thing that I've seen really that has been amazing about this cheating scandal is just the fact that two people who, from my perspective, have pretty upstanding reputations in poker, Garrett and Doug Polk, who, as far as I know, have never been accused of being involved in any tomfoolery, any cheating.
I don't like Doug Polk, but what you're saying is accurate.
Okay. But, nobody's running around saying that Doug Polk is some huge misogynist, right?
Correct.
Like that he hates women and that his content has been geared to sort of give women the short end of the stick.
Correct.
But somehow, because he has seemed pretty convinced that there's a good chance that there's tomfoolery going on in this hand, it's like it's just being portrayed as if Garrett is some unreasonable bully and Doug Polk hates women and is just like dead set on like painting this terrible narrative about an innocent woman who's an amateur player. And it's just kind of bizarre to me. I think that people should be more likely to say these guys seem like they've been mostly honest participants in this space who have reasonable opinions about things, and that they should be willing to hear them out and not just immediately jump to the misogyny argument, which to be fair, that argument I think is kind of unpopular in poker because it is such a high percentage of men that it's like easy to see through the bullshit of assuming that this investigation is based on misogyny.
Bro, I think the misogyny argument and feminism, I think it's all garbage. All right, so if you're going to come at me and tell me that they're targeting her falsely because she's a woman,
right,
you have immediately lost credibility. I have no interest in anything else you're going to say.
Yes.
I think there's a 0% chance that Garrett or Doug, despite my strong distaste for Doug, target her because she's a woman.
I didn't realize you didn't like Doug. Okay.
Yeah.
Because he talked about you?
Nah. He's never talked about me. He probably will after this.
Okay.
Yeah, bro. I think he's such a cornball, bro. He is the click. He's the only person. Matt Berkey's number 2, by the way, in this regard, but just clickbait central. Doug Polk will do anything for clickbait. He started a fight with Daniel Negreanu just for views. It's like, dog, just.
I do think that the best argument against Doug's content at a certain point is that he did kind of like somebody like Daniel. I think he at times sort of misrepresented Daniel's perspective a little bit for
just
to have a scapegoat. And I do agree, but that was a long time ago. I think that maybe he could agree to some extent that some of that stuff was maybe a little unwise.
If I have
I don't want to say that he would agree with that, but
if I have my YouTube playlist on and I'm not paying attention, the second I hear Doug's voice, I will jolt out of whatever I'm doing and just scream, "Somebody turn this off." First of all, his voice makes my skin crawl. Also, he talks so long about every dumb detail of every goddamn hand and goddamn car. I'm like, bro, your clickbait was great. It got me here. Show me the hand, you know? And it's like, bro, I just can't get through it. And I think he's a cornball. And I think he's just clickbaity and whatever. I also think he's a phenomenal poker player. I think he's one of the greats. And I'm sure he's made a lot of money from it.
But would you agree that his content is mostly pretty fair, and his analysis of stuff seems to be pretty reasonable, right? Like I've never seen him carrying out too many like personal biases through. I think it's very unlikely that he just hates this woman and that's why he's pursuing this.
I think he doesn't even think about what's the reality. I think he's like, what's the truth? I think he goes, what's the most clickbaity stance I can take?
But you're really saying that you think he's like a Alex Jones type character where he doesn't care about the truth? You think tomorrow, if it was proven 100% that this woman did not cheat, that Doug would be afraid to admit that? I think he would 100% admit that the whole investigation
such good
came
clickbait. You know, imagine he put a video out. I was wrong. Listen, here's the facts, bro. He got half a million views.
He would acknowledge that if he figured out that he was wrong.
I think he would acknowledge it, not because he actually cares.
No, but his whole reputation as a journalist or as a broadcaster is based on him being fair in these situations, right?
I think he's mostly fair and impartial. Yes, for the majority, he's not involving in conflict. You know, there's like it's very few opportunities to involve in conflict in the poker community in such regard.
But it's not like people treated Postle any differently.
Okay, hold on. That man was cheating.
Right.
Yeah.
It was one that seemed, it was more cut and dry for sure. This is different because it's more ambiguous, and even the people who are deeply invested in it seem that they have, you know, a percentage chance that they think that they might be wrong about it. But the Postle thing, there was probably a lot of people defending him in the beginning.
Nah, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. That man was cheating.
Yeah, you had a lot more to work with him. You had like so many hours, and you had people calculating his win rate. It was like from the very beginning, it was tough to defend Postle.
You ever seen with Apostle the interview? So it was a female host giving the interview, right? And I think he didn't know that she was a non-believer, right? So he thinks he's just going to do like an interview because he's the god of poker or whatever.
Right.
She starts giving the interview, and then Veronica.
Right.
Okay. And so she starts giving him the interview,
I think.
And she flips on him like mid-interview, like starts really like cornering some of the questions. And he starts stuttering. He doesn't know what to say. So the dude who's alleged to be in on it, whatever the producer's name is, whatever, right? He was standing off to the side of the interview or whatever. As soon as like Apostle started getting tricked up and like there was no like good answer he was giving, producer walks in and cuts the interview and pulls Apostle out.
Right.
So I was like, come on, man.
That was sus. I wonder... Yeah, because her, like every single thing that she said in the wake of this hand has made her look worse. Like when she said, I had a blocker.
Imagine this
immediately afterwards. That was like one of the most mind-blowing statements I've heard ever.
This is a full perspective storyline I put together just to see would I react similarly, right? And this is going to be from the perspective of she's not cheating. Again, I'm not making an opinion. I'm just going to give you a storyline that could make sense. She's not the best poker player in the world. Imagine, right?
Clearly. Yes.
Okay, so she's not the best poker player in the world. She's very attractive, and she's new to social media, and she's trying to make a scene. Her husband, who's like a big shot lawyer and involved with Forbes and Entrepreneur magazine and all these things, she has an opportunity to be the hot girl, the it girl of poker, right? And she goes, this is something I'm going to pursue now that I'm no longer in pharmaceuticals. She goes, great, I'm going to do this. Who are my idols in poker? Guys such as Phil Ivey, possibly Garrett, right? Andy Stacks is a cool figure, right? He's a great super pro, cool figure, and whatever. She goes, I have a chance to play in these guys' games, but I don't have enough money. Who can I ask for money? Yo, Rip, can I get some of this money so I can play in this game? It's going to be great for my brand. On the off chance I win, you get half my winnings. And if I lose, probably what I'll get from the exposure on the back end, I'll break you off. Right? Again, I'm making some of this up, but just imagine. So she plays with her idols, and she's not that great of a player, let's say. She makes a terrible, dumb hand. Like, just everything about the hand was wrong. It was just
she puts in $100,000 with Jack High.
Yeah, just imagine. She's looking for clickbait. She's looking for views, the exposure. Imagine, even if she loses. Think about hands that I lost, right? I had Jack High bluffing into a flop set of kings, which turn into quads.
Right.
Bro, I have like maybe close to 1 million views on all the different versions of that hand that's posted. And that's me losing. But it was for like, I don't know, like, it was either $250,000 or $500,000, right?
This is a false equivalency because bluffing with Jack High is very different than calling with Jack High.
Yeah, but imagine to a non-seasoned poker player. She's just thinking to herself, I can get the views and the exposure. It's going to help my brand, right? She makes a terrible, terrible decision. She ends up winning, like, miraculously. And now she looks foolish and she feels foolish, and she's got to now explain herself out of the hand with more erroneous, silly statements. And in reality, she's digging herself deeper to those that believe she's cheating. But imagine she's just not a great player, and she's like not like quick-witted, and she's not used to the limelight and all this. Like, she's just saying words to try to cover up her terrible, terrible play.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah, I mean, and many times throughout this, I have gravitated towards that and thought, yeah, I guess maybe she just did like the dumbest thing ever for a ton of money.
Oh, and then a step further on the same storyline. So imagine, again, she has a chance to play with all her poker idols, get the best exposure she's ever had, right? And then all of a sudden, one of her poker idols hates her guts like this, right? And takes her in the back room, the little locker area? I'm sure that's where they were.
But to say he hates her guts.
Well, hold on. But mind you, this is her perspective. I'm making the story up, but like I can imagine this being a reality. So now the two of them plus Ryan are standing back there, and he's berating her, or even if he's calm and nice, even if that, she has this opinion. Like, imagine you're a nobody and you meet the biggest idol that you've ever had, and you're hanging out, and you're like, this is the coolest moment of my life. And then that person turns and goes, I don't really like you. You'd look at that person, you'd be like, you don't like me, but you're my idol. What can I do to fix this? And whether he said it or she said it, regardless, one of them was like, what if I gave you the money back? Or what if you give me the money back? And you'll like me after that? Yeah, I'll like you after that. I won't make a big deal about it. I won't go public. I won't berate you publicly. I'll support you, and we could be friends. Okay, that's worth it. Imagine.
I'm just saying you're granting her a lot of conditions. She was capable of making this call, and then also that she was a person who was so fragile that they would hand over such an astronomical amount of money to make somebody not mad at them. I mean,
I'm not saying that this is what happened. I'm saying this was a perspective that I created in my head.
No, this is pretty much something that narrative is what I've gravitated back towards a lot of times over and over, and then
the other one is that she cheated. She had a butt plug in that vibrated, said she was ahead. She didn't know how far ahead, and she wasn't smart enough to realize, I'm going to just fold this winning hand because look how obvious it's going to be I'm cheating, right? Yeah. She's not smart enough for that, hypothetically. She makes the call, she wins, and now she's like, oh my God, I got to talk my way out of this one so I don't catch me cheating, and dug herself deeper. And then she gave the money back, hoping if I give you the money back, you're not going to investigate this and I won't go to jail and prison and have all these problems for cheating. That's the other perspective.
Right. No, I mean, I'm definitely open to that. Yeah. The thing is like, I remember when I first played a Hustler a couple years ago, and they said, oh, you're not allowed to have your phone at the table. And it was like, oh, shit, like they're getting serious. Because at the bike, I'm pretty sure we're allowed to have our phones.
I think so.
And yeah, I was like, wow, that really stands out. You guys are taking this real serious. But then seeing something like this makes it like, oh, taking the phones away is the bare minimum. They really should be pretty much metal detecting everybody.
Winding on the way in the bubble.
I mean, I don't even know exactly what that would prevent. I guess that now I'm thinking about it too. Remember when there was a screenshot of her having that like receptor on her side? Like
I don't remember, but that could be the microphone.
Doug tweeted it out, and it did look. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I'm like, half the time you're on there, or every time you're on there, you have the thing for the
I'm always
mic.
Fidgeting with it, by the way, moving it pockets.
Yeah. And like, when Doug first posted the screenshot of that, I thought, oh my God, this is a smoking gun. What the fuck is that thing? And then somebody points out like, well, if she was going to be wearing, a remote control that was going to vibrate on her hip, why would she be wearing a skin-tight Versace bodysuit?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't she wear, like, literally anything else?
Unless it was in her booty hole, water bottle, or chair.
Yeah, I'm not going to go straight to the booty hole assumption because it's like, if you don't have to put the vibrating device in your booty hole, you probably just wouldn't, right?
Hold on. If you're somebody comfortable with things in your booty hole, you could it's probably safe to assume that's the best place for it, right? Because you're least likely to get checked. But also, you know where the theory comes from. By the way, I didn't make that up.
Right, but even if you like having things in your butthole, or if you're comfortable with that, it's like you probably don't want it there for 7 hours, right?
I had an ex that we used to do that. She tried to keep it in for, like 24 hours until she had to like use the bathroom. Right. So I have met women that are, would want that theoretically. I think they're very, very few. It's like a really, really small amount of people.
Right.
But either way, like it's a safe place to put it. And for that money, screw it. If you'll have it in for 1 hour, screw 7, it's worth the money.
Say it was like the size of an AirPod. I mean, you could duct tape it to the side of your leg and just wear like baggy jeans. and it would be exactly the same as
like
having it in your butthole.
But you're way less likely to get a cavity search than you are pat down.
This is true, but I'm also like, if you have that taped to your leg, like they're not patting you down at the Hustler game.
Well, if she got caught cheating, it was a risk she was running. But by the way, I didn't make that theory up. You know where the theory came from?
From the chest thing, right?
No, from the chair.
The chair.
Do you ever see the videos of her chair vibrating?
Her waist going crazy, yeah.
Yeah, so
that was weird too, because I'm like, what is that? Like how? Like how does the vibrating device maybe make you do that?
What if it was inside of her? Seriously,
inside her body.
I'm not even. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't make this theory up. They're saying so. The first thing was that the chair was vibrating. Well, why would the chair vibrate? There's two answers. One, because the vibrating device is on the chair, and the second, because if it's imagine inside her butt, which is sitting on the chair, then when that vibrates, it vibrates the chair.
Right.
Which should also be like her waist or whatever. Vibrating, moving, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if she is innocent, you have to feel bad for her that the end result of all this has been, you know, people discussing the fact that she might have maybe had something in her butthole, you know. But then it's like
maybe
it is part of a fair investigation, right? Like these are things that need to be considered and discussed publicly.
Honestly, you want to know who's at fault no matter what? Garrett. He absolutely should not have responded the way he did.
In terms of what? Just like raising the issue at the table?
There's no need for that. Hold on a second. Do you know all the collateral damages he's going to cause, whether she was cheating or not? Insurmountable. Imagine that she was cheating. And Garrett made this stink. So now Garrett can sue her, sue Hustler Casino Live, High Stakes Productions, and sue Hustler Casino. I'm going to let you know right now. Put this on the air. If Garrett is realistically on the verge of a payday from that casino and all that stuff, not just me, but probably 80% of any player whoever's been on that show wants the same payday.
Okay, but Garrett raising the issue immediately like that, like
in public fashion.
What do you think he should have done? What would have been a different route?
He should have got up. He should have gone to the locker room, called down Feldman, said, Feldman, I believe this just happened. I'm done for the day. In case this is really happening, we need to do an internal investigation and figure this out.
But that is basically what happened, right?
No, it's not, bro. They blew it up. Well, Rip also made it blow
Garrett
up.
didn't say a lot on camera.
He immediately went on Twitter and put a 6-page statement on there.
Right. I mean, he could have stayed totally silent.
He should have been, yeah, bro. Because what if she's not cheating? If she's not cheating, you want to know the other collateral damage he caused? She gets to sue him. And if she gets to sue him, she might also get to sue High Stakes Poker for allowing the damages and defamation.
What could she sue him for?
Defamation.
But he didn't make any like declarative statements.
Yes,
I don't think he said anything that was so committed to her cheating.
Yeah, read a statement.
No.
He literally said almost verbatim, I am declaring she cheated.
Garrett is no, he didn't.
Bro,
Garrett is smart enough to know to not make those types of statements.
That's it. Hold on.
Garrett,
I don't know how to use Twitter.
G-Man knows better than that.
Well, I don't know how to use Twitter. Give me a second to figure it out.
The best thing also is just seeing like random feminists wading into this conversation to basically declare that this is an example of misogyny and getting like 250,000 likes. Like literally the biggest tweet about this was from some random woman who's never played poker before, got 250,000 likes.
Hold on. So this is 6 pages long.
You tell me what he said that he is going to be sued for.
I don't know. So he said, I don't fault anyone who watched the hand and doesn't conceptually understand how it's impossible to call to the turn there, but I'll give a brief explanation. And then he goes on, hold on, let me think. Had her nearly drunk dead, comparing, blah, blah, blah. Furthermore, I've played her and reviewed the stream from 2 other prior sessions with this player. Not only did she never consider making a call, hold on. I'm well aware the scariest, easiest way for someone to cheat a live stream is to have a device hidden that simply vibrates to indicate you have the best hand. I'm sure the plan was to min-raise the turn and win on the river when I don't improve, but that all changed when I read her for extremely weak on the turn and made an unorthodox play by raising all in. Let me see where he confirms. Another common way of cheating is someone has the technology to know, blah, blah, blah. Those that think cheating is impossible, despite HCL's security precautions, are misguided. So he's already saying there's for sure a way to cheat in that game.
Okay, but that's not him saying that she definitely cheated.
Then he go, hold on, then there are friends, and they would never be part of us. I would never play in a stream. Putting it all together, this is him. Putting it all together, I immediately felt very concerned about foul play. After having conversation with co-owner Ryan Feldman, again, I'm not saying Ryan said this. Garrett's saying Ryan said this. He amicably agreed that me and Ryan should have a conversation. Most of that off-camera conversation was more of her going on and trying to justify the play. Her face melted when I said millions of people are going to see this. Hold on. That's not an exact quote. That was a shorthand.
Garrett thinks like a lawyer.
Knowing this
he
was
wrote
likely
these statements as if he was already being sued.
Yeah, he goes,
He's a smart guy.
Knowing this was likely the closest I would get to a confession and how impossible it is to get refunded in these cheating scandals, Postle being the best example, I took her up on the offer to get the refund. Oh, that's everything. Wait, where's the other one? Am I going the wrong way?
Yeah, I feel like this kind of makes my point, is that he didn't say anything that he's realistically going to be able to be sued for. I don't think.
I don't know, man. I think it's a close one. And her husband's like a bigwig lawyer. Like, you don't think they're going to try?
I mean, anyone can get a lawyer.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's very accessible. It's at no cost. If you don't think they're going to throw every piece of paperwork at this, then
I just don't think they have a chance in hell, because he didn't really like say that he was sure that she cheated.
Of winning
he just
or
said he said that there was an environment in which it would be possible for someone to cheat, and he said that he felt like her play was extremely suspicious. Just saying those two things, those two opinions, then that's fine, right? Like he didn't say that she definitely cheated. If he had hopped on Twitter and said this bitch cheated me out of money, and then it comes out she didn't cheat, then I agree that would probably be a situation where he could get sued.
I think they're gonna. Well, it's gonna depend on the outcome. Almost, I don't even know if it's gonna depend on the outcome. Her husband might try to sue no matter what. The question is, do they have a chance of winning? And I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a judge, and I'm not an executioner, right? But the lawsuit can happen, and oftentimes, as everyone knows, in lawsuits, even if you're not gonna win, you'll get a settlement. Bro, the money people have to spend on litigation is way more they would spend on a settlement. So they're like, let me just save money and give you a settlement.
They're not gonna try to sue him.
I don't know. I don't know.
Based on what he has said so far, I don't think it's happening. The lawyer's going to laugh at him. They're going to say we have nothing to go on. Like, yes, you can do a frivolous lawsuit, but there's an extent to which a lawsuit can be so frivolous that a lawyer's just not going to want anything to do with it.
Whatever. I don't know. I don't know. We're going to find out, and I'm not making an opinion whether she did or she didn't cheat. I'm making no opinion. Publicly, I have my personal opinion. It's going to stay personal.
You should have to sign a contract when you go on one of these live streams where if there is a disagreement about cheating, that you are open to a cavity search. I will let Ryan Feldman stare directly into my asshole if that's what it takes to ensure the integrity of the game. The entire table can join around and gaze upon my butthole.
I would let Ryan stare into my butthole if there was nothing on the line.
Yeah. No, totally. What's your sex life like these days?
Oh, it's interesting you ask. I actually, for 5 months, have only been seeing my girl.
So you have a girl?
Yeah, we've been together a year and a half.
Oh, what?
Yeah, when we first got together, it was like only for the sex. Like literally, I met her in a very fun environment.
Do I know her?
Nah,
No.
I don't think so.
You keep her kind of private?
I do my best.
Okay.
She is, bro. The thing is, she comes from a different lifestyle than me, and she is like relentless. Like, post me. I want to get posts. I want everyone to know. I want everyone to know. Put my handle in there. I'm like, sweetie, only a liability, not an asset. Nothing good comes from it, and she can't comprehend the damages that can come. You know, whatever. So occasionally I'll post her, like, kind of discreetly, stuff like that. So she just gets off my back, but keeps the security and the privacy of the situation.
Okay.
So when we first got together, it was like all about like sex. Like literally, bro, we met in person one time. I actually didn't even see her there. Like she like tried to talk to me apparently, and I like kind of shrugged her off. I was like with some other chick or whatever, and we ran into each other in the same place another time, and she caught my attention without even talking to me. And I said to one of the other women, I said, hey, who is that? Like, what's up? You go, oh, here's her Instagram. I DM her. She DMs me back. She goes, I'm currently taking applications for booty calls. So I submitted literally like almost like as an obnoxious joke, like my whole like resume on why I'm the best booty call. And she like took me up on that offer, and we chilled. She ended up staying with me for like an extended period of time the first time we hung out like ourselves. And we're almost inseparable. And we're having sex with like groups of people and like, whatever. It was like all fun.
She was down for the fuck shit.
Yeah, for sure. And then she said, hey, like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to give you all my attention. I said, bet, like, let's run it. Let's get more serious. We're spending so much time together. We ended up moving in together. Like, this is a whiles back when I had one of the houses in Vegas. And she was only seeing me. And I said to her, I said, hey, I don't think that I'm capable of only having sex with you. She goes, no problem. Here's my parameters. Here's how I would be comfortable with you sleeping around. I said, no problem. And we had done that. And about 5 months ago, I had like this little orgy tour. It started in like Maryland, and then Atlantic City, then LA, then Vegas. And while we were doing it in Vegas, I had this moment where I was like, I don't like the way I feel at this exact second. And I said, what could it be? I said, well, I'm engaged in this high, what do you call it? Like high sense, like all my senses were on high alert. You know what I'm saying? Like high stimulus.
Sensory overload.
Yeah, sensory overload, this high stimulated environment. I said, maybe it's this. I said, this isn't making me feel the way I want it to make me feel right now. So I stopped what I was doing. I left. We were in like a suite, whatever. I left like all the people that were in there, and I called my girl, and I said, hey, like I've been having this little orgy tour, and I'm unhappy with myself at this moment. I want to see if I feel better about me if I am just one-on-one with you. And she's like, yeah, I would love that. Like, I would love nothing more. Like, let's do it. Whatever makes you happy. If you think that's going to improve how you feel about yourself, I'm totally on board. Like, why would she not? Of course, like, obviously she's happy that I don't have to sleep around. So that was about 5 months ago. For 5 months, we've been rocking out. And I would say I do feel better. There's other things I did in my life also, though, to, like, cut some fat and trim some wasted energies. And
right, because I mean the description that you had of your sex drive on the last interview, where you're talking about fucking 6 chicks in a night and having a whole separate floor of rooms on a hotel floor or whatever, it was kind of like, how is this a real thing that he actually wants to engage in? This sounds insane.
You know that there's been endless times that people have stepped forward and said, this is all legit. I was there. I saw it. I witnessed it. I was part of it.
I mean, I'm not denying that you were doing this.
I'm not just
saying
talking about the sex, by the way. I'm talking about every claim I ever made on the first no jumper. 100% of them have been verified.
I'm just saying
publicly.
I was listening to that like, holy fuck. Like, how could this be enjoyable to be fucking this much? This sounds totally out of control. And like, probably at some point this was going to have to stop.
Yeah, it was like a hobby, and it was super time consuming, drained a lot of energy, and it like took away from me being able to do other things. If I'm with multiple women in one day, bro, the amount of time it takes in communication, transportation, and like one-on-one time, sex time, I lose like 2/3 of my day.
And what's the point?
Yeah. So it was
put
fun.
Your dick in a different vagina. It's like, what's the point at a certain point?
I've done it on and off my whole life, my whole like sex life, whatever. And right now it's off. And will it ever go back on? Who knows? I never planned it. Right now I'm happy with what I got.
You ever bang a girl with Ryan Mills?
Nah. Well, I'm sure we banged the same girl. I'm sure many times.
Yeah.
But we have not together banged a girl, no.
You should.
The real R. Millie?
Go check out my Ryan Mills interview if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, shout out R. Mills, man.
You kick it with all the BMX boys, huh?
Yeah.
You came to the jam, too.
Yeah, that was a blast, bro.
But you're not jumping on any rails anytime soon?
Yeah, I hit some rails. Like I'm not like great. I can feeble, switch feeble, double peg, switch double peg.
Nice.
360 backflip. I can do not a 360 back.
Backflip.
So I backflip with Schmitty, Brandon Schmidt. Shout out Schmitty. I shout him out all the time. Yeah, so he took the first time I ever went to Pastrana's house, he took me there. We stayed there for a week. He took me to Woodward a whole bunch, all the different Woodwards. So I spent a lot of time with him, like kind of like one-on-one just riding, I've never backflipped to dirt. I've never backflipped to wood, but I backflipped to
the resi?
To resi and foam.
Really?
Yeah.
I have not done that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine going upside down.
Yeah.
Doing a 360 is disorienting enough.
I think a 360 is harder. I have real trouble like spinning on a straight axis. I always like lean in like almost like a tabletop, like like a tuck 3 sort of, but unintentional. So I can't really come out of the tuck and like right away.
Right.
I have a lot of trouble with that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So who are these fucking people that you're having me do this Zoom call with after this that we're going to add into this podcast?
Yeah. So listen, bro, every single claim, we're only supposed to talk about the gambling the first time because I knew that every like aspect we're going to talk about was like this unbelievable, situation, and there was going to be like too much drawback and whatever. So it's been a lot of work, and it's been happening over like the last 2 years, we'll call it, but especially since then, where I spent a lot of time, all these people that have bared witness firsthand and direct to like every single one of my claims. All the celebrities, all the athletes, the actors, the comedians, the porn stars, the regular girls, the regular guys, like whatever. Everyone that's ever participated in my life has came forward. It's all documented. It's all on the internet. Like, look. By the way, I also tag everybody that's ever been witness to anything that I'm like if it's a single piece of content and there was 30 people that had bear witness to it, I tag all 30 of them, and I do that on purpose. So everybody on their own free will can just go and be like, yo, Mikki? They'll be like, yeah. I'm like, what's the deal? Be like, I was there. It really happened. This is my perspective of it. I do not shy away from the truth at all. And I'm like super like transparent. Like I give contact information to anybody they want to verify, whatever. So all these people came forward and verified, like endlessly, relentlessly, and to this day. So it all started like this. I had this guy hit me up, and he goes, I worked surveillance at such and such casino, and I've caught you cheating. Everything you say on your stuff is a lie. And for whatever, and I get so many requests, I don't even know how I saw it, but when I read it, and people say that to me, but when he said it, something about it like struck a chord. So I hit him back. I accepted whatever. I hit him back, and I'm like, what property? Da da da. I said, what time? And I asked him all these questions and vetted, and like I confirmed he is surveillance for this casino. I said, tell me the story. Would you catch me cheating? Turns out I misinterpreted exactly how he typed it. He meant it more as like a friendly nudge, like, haha, buddy, like I caught you one time, whatever. But I read it as like an attack. So when he re-explained the story to me, it was 100% true. What had actually happened was I was playing like Big Bach in the pit, and I wanted to take a break. So I went right outside the pit to play some Pag-Out. I threw a 5K chip down. This is during COVID. We're not supposed to touch the cards. But in Pag-Out, generally you touch the cards. So I put the 5K down, just threw a chocolate, no big deal, like just whatever. Deal the cards. I pick up the cards, and the dealer tried to snag the cards out of my hand. And I snapped on him, and I threw the cards in his face. I said, don't touch me, don't grab my hand, da-da-da-da-da. And I just took my chip. I threw the cards, right? The cards went everywhere. I took my chip and just walked up to my room. So he talked about that story. What had happened was, and this was like the joking part, is for the camera, they have to show the cards, right? So when he places my hand, turns out it's a losing hand. Mind you, I'm playing $250,000 a hand in the pit. This is a 5K chip. So when they show the camera, it's a losing hand. His joke was like, theoretically, if I could have looked at the cards, immediately saw I was going to probably be a loser, made a scene and walked off with my 5K. The casino never acted on it because they knew that's not what happened. They knew, first of all, who cares about 5K, right? And also they knew, like, I didn't look at the cards. The dude grabbed my hand. I just chucked the cards at him, started yelling, and walked away. So no one ever, like, acted. I didn't get in trouble. I wasn't even reprimanded. Nobody even brought it up to me. But it confirmed that he was who he said he was. And he goes, hey, man, like, just so you know, like, no matter what people may ever say about you, like, I know the truth. Like, I know you're legit. Like, I was in the surveillance booth, and I watched you. I said, can I take you out for lunch? He goes, yeah. I ended up taking out for lunch on Rodeo. We went to Beverly Hills, and we had some lunch. And I said, can you tell me more about what you've witnessed? And he goes, yeah. And he starts saying, he goes, like, I was the guy that did this. I was the guy that had to watch you for this, whatever. And I'm like, you were literally, like, the guy? He goes, bro, I was the guy. And here's all my evidence. Here's my proof. Here's my credentials. Here's everything. And I said, would you ever want to go on and say it? And he goes, yeah. He's like, screw these casinos. He's like, I don't work there anymore. Like, I'm on to bigger and better things. Like, yeah, bro. He goes, your story's unbelievable. I watched with my own eyes. I watched them, all these things. I would be so happy to have your back.
So we're going to talk to him.
We're going to talk to him.
And who else?
There's a woman. Her name is Mary. She's actually a friend of mine. We became friends through this journey. She's a pit boss. So the term actually is supervisor, but whatever. She's a pit boss and a dealer. And she used to deal to me all the time. She was always there, like, hands-on, like, so whether she was supervising as the pit boss might play or dealing to me or whatever it was, she was fully invested from the casino's employment in my play. And same deal with her. And she's a girl that actually comes to all my parties. Like, she's a woman that's like super around my social life now that we're past all this. You know what I mean? So not only is she so happy to be able to speak on somebody's truth, she sees me as, like, her friend who gets the occasional berating from ignorant, hating morons who, like, just all they have to do is look and the proof is there, but they don't want to look, no problem. So she's like, I would love to, like, have my friends back and, like, really speak some truths. Like, this is who I am. Like, I don't mind. She's like, I'd like the opportunity. And I said, well, I have an opportunity if you want it. And she goes, yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go. Mikki, introduce us.
This is Jake Ormond. He worked surveillance for 7 years at numerous casinos, and more specifically the Palazzo and Venetian in Las Vegas.
Okay. And so you tell us. Mikki's already kind of, like, introduced you and explained your role a little bit, but tell us about your what you've witnessed with Mikki.
Yeah, so basically, like Mikki said, I've been working surveillance for 7 years. 4 of those years were on the Las Vegas Strip, and about 2.5 of those years were at the Venetian Palazzo, which a majority of our job was actually watching high action play on table games, making sure the integrity of those games are kept safe. Nobody's cheating, nobody's taking advantage. And obviously I watched Mikki play several times. And he's a pretty straightforward player. He played a lot of Baccarat. And if you know anything about Baccarat, so when you bet on Banker, you got a 1.06%. The house has a 1.06% advantage, and on player it's like a 1.26% advantage. So it's one of the best odds you can have playing table games. Um, and that was Mickey's primary game, and I actually witnessed him bet up to like 250, $250,000 a hand on several occasions.
What are you saying, that you believe that he genuinely can beat the game? So are you saying that you can verify this?
I mean, you can beat any game. I mean, like I said, the odds are pretty good.
Hold on, say that first part one more time.
You could beat any game.
You could beat any game.
Well, theoretically, yeah, you can cheat. Baccarat is probably one of the hardest games to cheat though, because for one, you got an angel eye shoe which can detect every single card that comes out of the shoe, and there's not a lot of instruments on the game that you can use to cheat with. But there are still ways that you could take advantage and cheat on that game.
So what were the primary ways that you would see people cheat at Baccarat?
On Baccarat, it'd probably be mostly like pass posting, pinching your wager, like removing your bet after you realize you have a losing hand. Collusion with a dealer is a big one, where the dealer would obviously collude with the player, overpay them. There's a lot of other ways, like Phil Ivey. He was known for the edge sorting, where he was actually able to identify the cards coming out of the shoe based on the edge of the card.
Right.
Because there's differences within those cards. So yeah, there's a way to beat Baccarat, but in my experience with Mikki, I don't think he wasn't doing any of that.
Are you saying, though, you're not saying that you have any kind of understanding of how Mikki was able to beat these games? You're just saying that you don't think he was cheating per se. But aren't you kind of like, you're kind of claiming to have cheated, right? Isn't that like the ultimate flex?
No, I'm not claiming to have
How
cheated.
else are you going to beat the game if you don't cheat? Anything you could do to make you win the game is cheating, right?
Bro, give me $50 million and I'll tell you, but I'm definitely not claiming I cheated.
Okay.
He can also confirm this. I'm going to let him say, but.
A rose by any other name.
So the first thing he said, the most common way to cheat is like pinching bets, which is like, take some chips off, stuff like that.
Right.
This is totally on him. My claim is that I flat bet $250,000 every hand. So there's no version where some hands I'm 250, some bets I'm 100. Like it's not hand by hand. I'm just flat betting. So I can't be pinching bets either, by the way.
Wait, so yeah, so actually one of the main things we look for when people are playing, especially high action players like Mikki, is whether or not they're flat betting. Because if they're not flat betting, that means they might have knowledge of where the cards are in the shoe. If they randomly spike their bet up from $5,000 to $250,000 a hand, that means he might know what the cards were. And he was not doing that. So basically, every time I'd watch a player like Mikki, which there's actually a lot of players that would bet $250,000. I've watched a guy bet $825,000 a hand. There's players out there that can bet over $1 million a hand in Vegas. There are many things that are constantly running through my mind as I'm watching a player like Mikki. Is he doing this? Is he doing that? And we also have computers that we can input data from Baccarat games and blackjack games and other games. It's called a breakdown, where the computer can analyze every single hand and every single wager and the entire round of the game to determine if that person is cheating the game. And Mikki came back negative every time.
Wow. So why do you think he was banned from the games then?
Well, I think there's a couple reasons. One, obviously, Vegas wasn't built on winners. Right, they didn't build the Bellagio fountains on winners. They don't like when people win $17 to $20 million lifetime, $10 million in like 3 months. Okay,
those are real stats, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. If you want, when you're done saying what you're saying, if you want, you could really break that down. You have like full. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not here to hide anything. Say it. So you can get pretty specific.
Yeah. So for one, that's the first reason, right? We don't like people winning that amount of money. And if you just keep winning and you're not losing, we have every right to not do business with you. Just like any other business in the world, we can just choose not to do business with you. Another reason is, I personally had some experiences with Mikki where some days he maybe felt like an asshole. Like one day he threw $250,000 in chips in the air all over the place, which is really stressful on my work because we have to watch every single chip to see where they went, where they went on the floor, where they went. Maybe they went into a completely different room. So that's like an hour's worth of work right there. And small little incidents like that stack up. We have all of those types of incidents on record. So maybe one day you were an asshole to a dealer. That's on record. Maybe one day, like I said, he threw chips up in the air. That's on record. And then now he's winning $10 million in a couple months. We have every reason to revoke business with him.
Right. So you're not saying that you know how Mikki was able to become a winner. You're just saying that you can confirm he was a winner and that he wasn't doing any of the things that would typically fall under the umbrella of cheating.
Going back to what I said in the beginning, so this is why I said it. So on player, the house has a 1.06% house advantage against you, which is really good odds. If you flip a quarter, like that quarter can land on heads 1,000 times. Like we have winners. We have multiple people winning like Mikki is at the Venetian. I don't currently work there. I don't currently work in surveillance, just to make that clear. But we in the upper double digits, we had people winning millions of dollars. So Mikki is not the only one that's won that amount of money. It's pretty rare, but the house has such a low advantage against you that does happen.
Interesting.
Games like Baccarat or maybe even like double deck blackjack, if you have perfect strategy, you can actually get your house advantage lower than that.
Okay, but if you are a casino and you think that someone is playing a game in which you as the casino have an advantage, even if the player seems to have won a bunch of money in the relative short term, don't you want to get that money back by allowing them to continue to play?
They did, and I wasn't losing.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll throw comps and everything like that. We have a system where like players that aren't good at gambling, they don't know when to quit. We actually comp them more than we do winners.
Of course.
And for the record, I was a very minimal comper at the Venetian. They gave me very little.
Really?
I think it's because they don't want to incentivize me to come in. And it's costing them money because I'm winning, and then they're spending the money to comp me and incentivize me to be there.
Right. I mean, if you're betting $250,000 on a hand, you can definitely have some free General Chow's, orange chicken, whatever the fuck you want. Okay. Anything else that you want to let us know?
I mean, I read the comments in the previous no jumper interview that Mikki did, and I just want to slap them all, man, because what he said is the truth, man. He's telling the truth. He did win millions of dollars.
Tens of millions. Correct me if that's
not tens of millions. Sorry. Tens of millions of dollars. And but then again, we do have the right to revoke business with anyone for any reason.
You heard that comment section. He wants to slap your asses. And it's going to happen. All right. It was nice meeting you, man.
Thank you,
man.
Thank you, Jake.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, man. So, yeah, I don't currently work surveillance anymore, like I said.
What do you do now?
But I do run a successful video production company called Scavenger Media. And you can follow me at scavenger_media.
Nice. Appreciate your time, man.
Thanks, Jake.
All right, man. Later.
Bro, I told you, and I told the world, every single claim from day one. I mean, bro, he just told you I won $10 million in 3 months alone. He said I'm up $17 to $20 million on him alone. He said they banned me because I win too much. They said they couldn't catch me cheating because I didn't cheat. Bro, I'm telling you, like, it's been nonstop verification for 2 years of every claim I've made.
The legend continues to build. Right?
Bro, right from the mouth of Babe.
Hey, I don't know.
I do know, and Jake knows. He just told you.
I mean, I cannot attest to it. I'm just kind of I'm surprised that you have managed to find a witness, I guess. But I mean,
not just a witness, hundreds of witnesses. Right. Everybody I tag, everybody that reposts about it, everybody that's made their own claim, their own video, their own statement. You know, like, how can we get that many people to tell the same lie? Casino executives, celebrities, normal people, surveillance. I have videos of me winning, videos of me catching the casino winning. I mean, everything is documented. Everything is there. How can that many people possibly come together and tell the exact same story, but the whole thing's a lie? What incentive do I have to convince that many people? Baby, when he came forward and he said that, on what planet can I incentivize that man to tell this massive lie about me? And every other celebrity who comes forward and says it's all for real.
I don't know. I'm an impartial judge. Okay, Mary, Mickey's next guest. Introduce us to Mary, I guess.
So Mary, I think it's been like 10 years. She's been a supervisor, pit boss, and dealer at all the casinos throughout the Las Vegas Strip.
Okay.
She's also like been to a lot of my events, a lot of my parties. Like she knows me in and out of the casino.
So Mary, how much time have you spent around Mickey in the gambling context?
Quite a bit. I originally met him gambling. He was took a minute outside of the high limit area to come out to just blow off steam. So I met him there and like we just bullshitted. Like he's such a cool guy. He's down to earth. I didn't even realize that he was a high roller. Like we get a lot of people that come in and they're like, oh yeah, I'm a Noir guest. I'm like, yeah, okay. But then it turns out like he's actually $1 million player. And I was like, oh shit, okay. I was just giving him crap. I'm like, I'm sure you are.
Right. Okay.
That was actually our first encounter. I was like standing on a chair or something, and she's like, "Get down." I said, and like being obnoxious, like it's okay, I'm Noir.
Right.
And she's like, "Sure, sweetie, everybody's Noir until it's time to pull out your player's card." And I said, "I got you."
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've seen Mickey gamble a lot, and
Yes.
What's your impression of him as a gambler?
He's a very good gambler. He's been asked to leave casinos because of his gambling strategy. He's very meticulous and he takes it very seriously. Like he doesn't drink or smoke or do anything that would hinder him or his ability to gamble.
Okay. What do you want her to tell the world about you?
I mean, share your experience of me. I mean, like you've seen the paperwork, you've seen it with your own eyes, you've seen my action, you've seen my life. I mean, you know me. I mean, please, like, feel free to share.
Yeah, I've been with MGM International for about a decade now, and I've also worked with Stations LLC and Golden Entertainment. And we just don't get a lot of play that you see like that. He has special limits at all of our larger properties. 50,000 on a regular deck, 75,000 on six deck shoe, and up to $250,000 on a Baccarat game, which is almost unheard of. You have to have a multi-million-dollar credit line to be able to have those types of limits because a regular limit is just a $10,000 max. So if you're getting those special limits, you're someone special because it takes a lot for the casino to take that bit of a risk. But they do it because they think they're going to get him, but unfortunately they don't. And so they have to end up banning him to try to keep the money from him winning it back if he does go on like a slight loss for a day. If he loses just a little bit, they're like, oh, okay, you can't come back today because we don't want you to get it back because he will. He'll get it back tenfold.
How, though? Aren't players not supposed to be able to beat these games?
No, the casino is set up where anybody could win. The odds are not in your favor and will rightfully tell you so. But like on Baccarat, the house edge is only like 1.5%. But even now, like we have a no commission Baccarat, so it's even less of a house advantage. So if you get someone who knows how to gamble and knows how to work the system and has enough of money roll, they can definitely beat us.
Right. But how do you feel about Mickey being banned then? Doesn't that seem kind of silly if they have an edge?
Does. I do. I agree. It is silly, but at the end of the day, it's a business. And sometimes the higher ups feel that he's too big of a risk. So that's why they have to ban him because he's a good player and he's got the money to play. So we know that he's going to take us.
Interesting.
I've said, it's so funny she said that actually. I've made videos where they will ban me the moment I start to go net negative on a session. They will wait. Like, let's say I'm creaming them. As long as they keep me there, in the beginning they were trying. And the second I lose back the profit and it's like a little bit net negative, that's when they come and say, I got to leave. Used to happen all the time.
Interesting. Because my impression of the casinos was always that they wanted to really accommodate the people who are spending a lot of money and betting a lot because in the long run, that's going to benefit them. A whale per se, right?
Yeah, for the general public, that's pretty correct because they're not going to have the bankroll to be able to win back some of those losses. So we're really trying to cater to more of like the less of like the super high rollers to more of like the medium high rollers, like the people that are going to gamble and they're going to continue to gamble because they're gamblers, because those are the people we want, because those are the people that even if they win, they're going to lose their money back. Mickey's there as a profession. Like he does this for his job and he knows when to say no and when to walk away. He's not going to win $10 million and then lose it all back. But you see that a lot with some of the other high rollers because they're just gambling to gamble. They come in knowing they're going to lose all of that money because it's disposable income for them. And those are the gamblers that we try to cater to.
Interesting. That makes it seem a little bit harder to argue, I guess. The people out there who want to poke holes in your alleged winnings, they got a little bit more that they got to go up against, right?
There's no holes, man. I mean, doubt and disbelief because I lived an unbelievable life, right? But at some point, you have to come into this a little bit neutral. You say, well, if there's evidence, same with like the Robbie Garrett thing, right?
Right.
Like until there's evidence, there's really no statement to be made. And I've continuously produced evidence. And nobody, not one person, not a casino exec, not a celebrity, not anybody has ever came forward and said anything's not true. Only the opposites happen. There's no holes to poke.
Right.
I'm an open book. And just time and time again, I mean, 100% of the time has been people verifying everything firsthand.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks so much, Mary.
No problem.
Okay, Mikki. Couple more people vouching for you. That's pretty good, I guess.
I mean, I don't know what more I can possibly do. I am the best gambler in the world. No one will ever take that from me.
Wow. So you're taking on all challengers. There's a casino in Indonesia that
Put me up.
if they're going to allow you to go there and gamble, you will fucking bankrupt them.
Put me up, absolutely. If that casino wants to put me up, I'm there.
Wow. Bold. I like it. Mikki,
Yes, sir.
you have those businesses you told us about earlier. Anything else you want to let people know to look out for?
I got a lot of fun stuff on the way. I will say, like, if you follow my Instagram, which you should, everything, by the way, is Dirty Goth Boy. My YouTube, my TikTok, my Instagram, it's just Dirty Goth Boy, and
Right.
boy is B-O-I. But on my Instagram, I always post all the juice in the stories. You know, like, I don't, like, make that many hard posts, but keep an eye on my stories. And super low-key, bro, all this gambling stuff is, like, cool, whatever. It built me this platform. Bro, I just want to be funny on the internet, and it's not impossible. I try to make some kind of transition into a comedy.
Right. Oh, yeah, there you go. I was going to say, I've seen a lot of people get tattoos removed over the years who start getting the tattoo removed and then maybe they like lag on getting it worked on or whatever. You have pretty much gone from like having a fully tattooed face to now I can barely see most of it.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, even before social media, I wasn't like a big picture and photo guy in my life, again, for privacy, and also I like to live life as it happened, not through a lens. So I don't have too many photos, but I have some. Bro, my face used to be so tattooed
Right.
that it's never been on the internet. But yeah, man, I like tattoos are a bad idea. I'm whatever the opposite of a advocate. I'm a discourager of tattoos.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was a bad idea. I mean, nothing about my life improved from having tattoos, but I got to watch firsthand the direct effect it had negatively in my life as I got more and more tattooed.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like for somebody like you who's building a character online, if you look at somebody like fucking John Gabbana or whoever, Lil Xan, 6ix9ine, I mean, these are all people whose careers were clearly like boosted by the fact that they looked like fucking freak shows, right?
Bro, this is not, first of all, I'm not building a character.
Right.
I'm just my unapologetic self. You know, if I'm happy, I'm happy. If I'm sad, I'm sad. If I'm manic, I'm manic, whatever it may be. I'm not building a character, and this is also not my career. I do not gain from this. You know what I mean? Like financially. Like I don't make money from this. So these tattoos only have an impact off camera. Like when I'm walking down the street, if there's someone who doesn't know who I am, when they look at me, like, oh, he probably sells weed.
Right.
You know, and if I'm not like dressed a certain way or in a certain environment or in one of the cars or whatever it is, then they can easily just judge me and then they treat me and then they will approach me or not at all based on that
But so
judgment.
your goal is to have your face completely cleared of all the tattoos?
If I could snap my fingers and have no tattoos, I would.
But you're still going to the laser place?
Yeah.
Are you going to do the rest of your body as well, or you're just doing the face?
I'm tattooed from the top. My whole head's tattooed, top of my head down to the bottom of my toes. It is impossible for me to remove everything.
It's going to take you your whole life.
Yeah. And even that, yeah. So at that point, it's like whatever. So right now, we're just focusing on my face. And like I have some things on like my stomach that, whatever, I just want removed, but it'll come.
Face tattoos are more jarring for sure. They're like more impossible to ignore than the rest of your body. Like you could have a total full entire body suit done. And it's like to people like, do you stand out? Sure, but you don't, it's whatever. As soon as you get on the face, it's very different for people.
It's a statement. But when we do that, like we know the statement we're making, but what happens when we like change our stance on life? What if we don't want to make that statement anymore?
Right.
You can never take it back unless you remove them.
So you're getting your white power tattoos covered up?
I didn't have white power tattoos.
You have to think about it.
Well, I had because I had a on this arm here I had like all like like F the police tattoos. Ooh. And one of the things I have, which you can still kind of see some of it, I have a pig in a cop uniform, and if you look here it says PIG. That's the top of the cop hat, and the rest was like a pig face. Mm. And right here on the hat was like 2 lightning bolts, which is obviously ironic because I'm Jewish.
Right. Yeah. You don't want the cops seeing that either.
They did see that. It used to get me in a lot of trouble. I used to like be running around the hood and doing hood rat stuff with my hood rat friends, and bro, I've had a lot of instances. One time, so I have FUCK cops tattooed, blasted across my stomach, and I got a cop car on fire with bullet holes above it. Right. Now my entire torso is tattooed. It's a little bit blended, but before it was like literally just the letters across my stomach, like F cops. Right.
You could defund the police on your face.
Nah, and I also don't have a political stance in that regard, by the way. Like
you just hated the cops because you were just living on the street, just saying "fuck the cops."
Yeah, basically.
Punk rock.
Yeah, basically. One time, bro, it's a whole story, bro. This kid, I don't even know if I'm supposed to tell the story on there. I don't think I can tell it. Doesn't matter. Long story short, it doesn't matter what took place. The cops pulled up. I didn't have a shirt on. No questions asked. Walked up, looked at my stomach, looked at me, and he goes, "You're under arrest. I'm about to figure out why." And he put me in cuffs, put me in the car, and he opened up a book of like, I guess all like the penal codes or whatever, statutes, and he just went through and just anything he could, not relating. And then once he like has me, right, then he tries to like start investigating and interrogating, questioning people. And he goes, "Is any chance Mickey's involved?" And someone would be like, "I don't think so." They'd be like, "There wasn't a no, so we're gonna charge him with that." And I got this slew of charges. They brought me into the county jail, still with no shirt on. They kept me with no shirt on, and then they put me in the shoe, and I was in the shoe. It was like almost 2 weeks until I bonded out. So I'm shirtless in the shoe, and then what they ended up doing was people told me later on. So they're supposed to take all photos of your tattoos, like for gangs, gang relation. Uh-huh. They took a photo of my stomach. Turns out what they did was they printed it out and they posted it in the booking of that county jail. So all my friends that were going to jail were telling me, "Yo, there's a picture of your stomach in right. booking."
I mean, to me, if you get a "fuck cops" tattoo, you're kind of asking for that smoke, right?
Yeah, it was for sure. And I don't want to represent negativity and hatred. And it's like evil spirits. Whether my opinion on the police has changed or not, I'm not making a statement on that.
Right.
But just welcoming that type of lifestyle and that type of attention is not what I seek these days.
I feel it. I really got to go eat this steak. I'm fucking dying, bro.
Me too.
All right. Mikki, appreciate you, man.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. Check us out on YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, Instagram, etc. Like, comment, and subscribe. NoJumper.com if you want to support. Appreciate you, man.